right. Welcome back to the channel, I guess. I don't know. But today we're going over Absolute Martian Manhunter. This has been my favorite Absolute series. We're going over issue 2 and 3 today. I have loved this entire run so far. I heard they're taking a break after issue 6, like a 2-month sabbatical, and then they're coming back. Well, if they need to do that to keep the art and writing this good, do whatever. You could take a year break and then release 6 more banger issues, and I'd totally be fine with that. Take as much time as you want, because I love this. I've never thought about this at all. The art is beautiful. Anyways, I'm going to stop glazing this, and we're just going to hop right in. So we start with a gentleman watching, or I guess he's not even watching, but a game show on, and some people are murdered in their chairs. Spin the wheel, big money, big money, big money. But he goes, it's not real. I'd like to solve the puzzle. None of this is happening. And he stands there staring at his poster. Intelligent life is out there. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you're not right. He's got a bunch of guns. He's T-posing, at an alien on the wall. But this is, the most iconic Green Martian villain, the White Martians. We cut to John Jones. He talks to himself, it's all in your head. But what happens in your head also happens, as he lights a cigarette and sees the quote-unquote Martian. Remember, he's not an actual Martian. It's more of, he said this is the way that he can interpret it, is think of me as a Martian. And we did learn last issue, it's not about the fire, it's about the smoke. The smoke is the most important stuff. But John's talking to himself, keep it together, John. Fuck these Martians. The Martian mindfucker. Resistance is futile, but not how you think. And he's just screaming out loud, shut up, stop talking. And we see the Martian follow him around in the form of smoke. He's in the O in the stop sign. He's in the newspaper. But this is coming off the back of him learning about the Martian at the end of last issue. I got to get back to the hospital, figure out what's wrong with me. The Martian talks to him, understanding comes later. Total, complete, full understanding would result in mind/self-destruction. You need to be calm. And then we see the Martian enter his memory. Memory of honeymoon with Bridget lying, exhausted, content, close in warmth of leaf-fractured light. Everything just as it's supposed to be. The world still making sense. Smell from baking famous cinnamon rolls after school. No-fail remedy for bad days. Taste of serotonin, oxytocin. Chemicals humans haven't discovered yet, flooding the brain. And then John says to himself, suddenly I am calm. The panic subsides, and I'm calmly questioning the story of the little green man on page 1. Martian, we've been to Mars. We have pictures. There are no aliens there. You're not from Mars. You're from too much pressure on my brain. And then the Martian says, forgive me, us, yourself. Not Martian, not literal, symbol, / signode, outline of best fit. Martian, concept, constellation, alien, different, far away. And then John says to himself, and I, see isn't the right word. There are no words for it. New nonsense senses describing experience of. Somewhere so distant the universe will burn out before light from Earth can reach it. A place beyond places. Playground of pure, radiant thought. So John kind of gets a glimpse at where the Martian is from, but he can't understand it. It's not comprehensible. And while he's talking, he accidentally gets hit into oncoming traffic. But the Martian keeps going in a parking sign, or a parking meter. We must go, John. The parents are already dead. He will soon decide on Cetra Street. What happens in your head also happens. And we see what he's talking about. That's the person we saw in the beginning of the issue, the man who is doing the T-pose to the White Martian. But John says, what do you want? Why are you here? And we see that he's talking to a baby in the form of the Martian. We are mind, hunt, kill, save, redeem, heal, Life, his world, the human race is under attack. So we see the man, I want to say he's inflicted by the White Martian, is leaving his house, getting in his car, but he is taken over by the White Martian, and this is what he means by the human race is under attack. The White Martians are doing the same thing as the Green Martian is. The Green Martian is here to help. He takes over John's mind, talks to him. The White Martians take over other people's minds and cause harm. Why they're both here, I would like to find out. We don't know yet why they both did come here. Is it the White Martians came here to destroy the Earth and the Green Martians like, well, I've seen them destroy a bunch, I gotta follow them? Or did they follow the Green Martian here? That's kind of the stuff that we need to think about, but that doesn't matter right now. John Jones asks the question, what are we under attack from? And the Martian responds, open your eyes. Martian vision perspective. See people clearly for the first time. I don't have the physical copy to show in this one, just like I did the last video, but we see everybody's minds, or everybody's thoughts, in the form of smoke. The yellow person came up wagging its tail, little collar bell ringing. I looked, I made sure no one was around. I took out the knife, slid into the neck, so easy, so incredibly easy. I swear to God, gave me the warmth of my hand. I never felt so good in my, I want to say I picked the worst one to read first. That was terrible. Jeez, I got killed his dog. What are the chances I read that one first? That was awful. But going on, the Martian asks, well, what do you see? And John responds with, despair, fear, paranoia, rage, everywhere. Evidence, sociotoxic buildup of bad vibes. And we see all the billboards up there. It's like kill, hate. We see like a clan member. It's terrible. These are all things I didn't even look at in the first one. We see an AK up there, a person getting run over by a train. Bad vibes. The Martian responds, process naturally occurring in unstable/unequal societies, but recent exposure implies outside intervention. Inescapable conclusion. Complete psychoplanetary collapse is imminent. Responsible entities must be hunt, kill, save, redeem, healed. So the Martian is basically saying, my duty is to help these people. We don't know what his actual purpose is. He says that his purpose and the reason he's here is to help us. I don't know if that's true. We don't know yet. But he tells John, we must go. Program already in progress. Trigger will soon reach Cetra Street. And John's like, what is this? What are you doing? I don't understand this. Martian replies, like, you can't understand this yet. Consciousness expansion upgrade is in progress. Martian vision is only beginning. And then he goes over a memory of him being 8, staring at a hole through the fence. The world reduced to thin swath of the Donnie's yard. Sunbathing, Miss Donnelly's thighs golden in. And John stops him. What do you want from me, dude? And the Martian says, I want a partner, ally, roommate. I want a friend. Time is strange, frustrating, short. Trigger has reached Little Damascus. And John responds, I don't want that. That kid with that gun, is he? And the Martian replies, saved your life, reorganized matter and events. Now we are entangled. And then we see the man say, invaders, aliens from outer space, body snatchers wearing human faces, human skin. And John hears it. So this is the vision that the Martian is giving to John. And John goes, invaders? The Martian says, prefer entangled. We must go. Trigger opens fire in 3, 2, and then we see the man possessed by the White Martian start shooting up at the street. He's like, they're trying to replace us. And so John says, the doctors must have missed something. This isn't real. None of this is. And then he hears his phone ring. Jones, there's a possible active shooter event on Cetra and Samakison. Local PDs en route requesting assistance. The GPS puts you nearby. And then this is where we learn another lesson from the Martian. What happens in your head also happens. We learned about this last time. He's giving John some lessons. So we've learned what happens in your head also happens. It's not about the fire, it's about the smoke, and just pay attention. John hops in his car. The Martian's like, let's ride, partner. Spooky action heroes at a distance. Their car goes flying. The streets are a blurred synesthesia. Buildings bitter on my tongue. I'm 8 minutes out from Cetra. But the little green man in my head, sitting in the passenger seat, feet up on the dash, doesn't understand distance yet. Doesn't differentiate between here and there, one place and another. And we see the shooter is saying, they seem to look like and think like us, but they're just pretending, walking around, hoping we won't notice. But I notice, as he guns down multiple people. The shooter goes on, most of the time, they get the color wrong, and when they try to speak our language, it comes out all funny. It's pretty obvious once you know what you're looking for. In my experience, 99% of the people are just pretending. welcome to Earth as he just finishes this, I can't say homeless man, finishes this man in the street. So John Jones and the Martian pull up. The Martian jumps into this guy's head and he's like, I'm going in. The Martian dives in and I don't know what else to do but follow. So he aims the gun at John and John says, 5 victims down, 6 more people are hiding. Of the 5 on the ground, 3 are already dead. Their last thoughts, why me? A memory of her son playing as a child, his childhood summers and grandfather's village, cling to them in thin wisps. 2 are still with us, but not for long. Their lives are quickly running out of them. Trigger Taylor. The dude is like, do I know you? And John says, no, but I know who he is. The Martian is swimming through his mind, investigating. I know he loves bananas and deer hunting with his dad every season since he was 7. I know the name of his first grade best friend, cutting hands, making themselves brothers one summer. And he says, you know what my name is? I'm Toomis. It's me, Clyde. I'm Toomis. I'm Clyde Toomis. And Trigger's like, how long's it been? I don't recognize you at all. And John keeps going. His madness is a man-shaped wildfire, and in the smoke of it, I smell strains of trans-3-methyl-2 hexagononic acid and a family history of schizophrenia. That's a big word for Elmo. An old man dies in a puff of the cardamom. In a puddle of pain and fear, he thinks of one last thing as he was taught. So we're starting to see the powers of this Martian. He's able to go and read through all the thoughts, and we see important memories as colors, as Play-Doh, I guess. But Trigger asks, is that really you, Toomis? Or are you just pretending with me? And John responds, of course it's me. Put the gun down and we can catch up. Cetra is mostly Syrian, locally called Little Damascus. Most of these people here are refugees. My ears ring with the traumatic echoes. Trigger goes, some of them are so good at pretending they don't even know what they're doing. They've convinced themselves they're human beings. And then John keeps reading everybody's thoughts. The teenager hiding behind the Honda is thinking about an old cartoon and how he'll never get to fulfill his dream of playing football for Manchester United. The woman hiding behind the counter of Palmyra restaurant lost every member of her family in the Civil War, 49 in total. All she can think of in a panic is that if she dies here, her family dies with her. And then we see the Martian find a key memory. He goes, aha. And then the police are starting to show up. They pull their guns. Put the gun down, Trigger. And John's like, hold up, I'm talking to him, it's okay. Inside Trigger's mind, the Martian found something. Level 18th delusion, hallucination, brain rotter. Invasion coded, classic us versus them architecture. Very delicate destruction, construction. It's wired together from old movies, old fears, and the culture going back. Bad idea number 2894. The everywhere, everyone, everything enemy. Simple to disable, uncreate, disarm. And then we see Trigger's like, what happened? Oh my God, what? Did I do all this? So the white Martians kind of took easy prey and rewired his brain a little bit, put down all these movies and media and stuff, and we're like, you are schizophrenic, so we're gonna make you think that everybody is evil. Basically the equivalent of what Khonshu does to Moon Knight. But yeah, the white Martians kind of just look at easy prey, rewire their brains a little bit, and then send them out to create chaos. How much of that is true? I don't know. That's kind of just my theory. But Trigger understands that he needs help. He's like, I didn't know this is what I was doing. And before anything can happen, one of the police officers shoots, and it goes through Trigger's head. And Trigger dies and collapses. And then we see what the Martian sees, that these white Martians came and invaded his mind. Danger, disaster, doom. Worst possible finding. Worse than feared. The white Martian has come to end humankind. So Jones gets home, lays down next to his wife. His wife's like, how was work? He responds, it was good. It's the usual. And he sits there restless, not knowing what to do. And so does the Martian, because the white Martians are here. So that ends issue 2. Let's hop into issue 3 real quick. Issue 3 starts with a homeless man laying down on the side of the street and somebody lighting a cigarette, throwing that cigarette on top of them, burning them alive. The smoke comes up. I want to go home. Even though he'd lived on the streets since he was 14, Big Al's last thought was, I want to go home. He hadn't had a home to go to in 20 years, but it's all he could think through the heat and the pain. I want to go home. But we learn 24 people died. How many perps? Also 24. So 24 different people lit up 24 other people. Apparently they did it all at the same time. John is also able to read his partner's thoughts, and we see the smoke from, I guess, these victims come up through the air. But John notices gray clouds gather at the edges. You can always make out the shapes of people if you squint. The neighborhood comes up to see what goes on. The Martian says, radiant is restrained grief, smudged spectacular expressions of life. Eventually, everything goes up in a, and then he lights his flame. Everything goes up in a flame. Everything goes up in a smoke. John's partner goes on, it is weird, I'll give you that. I mean, 24 people setting 24 separate sleeping bums on fire at exactly the same time. I figured it was some kind of cult or something, but they claim they don't know each other and there's nothing saying different. So John asks why, and the Martian responds, that is the wrong question to ask. But his partner says, that's easy. People are mostly crazy and do fucked up things to each other for no reason at all. And John says, is that your professional opinion? Why, yes, it is. Then you should think about changing your profession. And John, having his insight, I really mean it. This job is leaching into him like asbestos, making soft things hard. If he keeps going this way, 6 years from now, his kids will find him beating his wife to death with a golf club in the garage. I know I sound crazy. I know that. But the Martian who lives in my head assures me that I'm not. And for some reason, I believe him. The Martian responds with residue of bad idea number 1937-231. Combustion, compulsion, arson, instinct. The emancipation of the immolated. So his partner asks the question, why do these people come here? Like, they're not safe here. If they go to the Sunnyside Hotel, they'll be safe there. And John responds, Big Al didn't like shelters. People were always fucking with him there, making dark imitations, stealing his shoes while he slept. He liked his chances better on the street, and his partner picks up on it. Big Al? Like, how do you know? How do you know it's Big Al? And what I think is going on is that he is giving too many clues that he knows more than he lets on, that he's got this little Martian. So eventually either his partner's going to figure it out or they're going to be like, yo, something's up with you, John. And they'll either boot him or arrest him or something because he's getting too suspicious with how much he knows and how much he lets on. But we cut to John interrogating everybody that seemingly has killed these people. So these 24 victims, they all have the same thing that he notices is a gray cloud around them. So John goes on, 24 individuals who claim not to know each other, but who are in perfect unison, burned 15 men, 6 women, 3 children alive. They don't have criminal records. They all had reasons. Some of them felt remorse, others didn't. But they had one thing in common, the cloud around their heads, which I didn't mention in my report. And we see them explaining why they did these things. And one lady's like, I've never done anything like this before. It's just a sudden urge. Another lady's like, I had a flash that this homeless guy was my dad who used to come into my room and do whatever. And we see the Martian is entering their minds, reading them. Must move quickly, extinguish every ember, every spark, pre-existing conditions, tragedy, isolation, trauma, like kindling victims. So we see these people getting infected by the White Martian, and we understand that whoever gets infected by the White Martian has this white smoke around them, or has at least like a lingering effect from the White Martian. And they pick people that are not psychologically well. But John leaves work, driving home. You know that little voice in the back of your head constantly telling you that the world is going to end? Mine's not just a voice. And I love that he drives the car and that, of course, the Martian just sits in the passenger seat because he's not a physical being. It's more of like a mental being, but he still just shows up. He just does human things. It's so funny. But we see this Martian growing. John says that it's still getting the hang of the language and it's worried it's not getting the point across. And we see the Martian trying to say something. Gaudy, gorgeous funeral march. Civilization's closing ceremonies beautiful to behold. Gawkward, confiscient, imprecise. These things mean sounds, and sounds mean things, round and round. And John's like, I have no idea what you're saying. But the walk from the driveway to the front door of my house becomes an incomprehensible alien apocalypse. And we see this blob of like different creatures at the front door. And it's obviously not there, but it's what the Martian is trying to tell John. And it's one of those things where he can't specifically tell John what these Martians are here for, what's going on with him, because it's just he's communicating in a different language, essentially. They don't understand. They make a really good analogy here. John asks, why does the white Martian want to destroy anything? What did we as the humans do to it? It says it comes from somewhere so far away that it doesn't make sense to speak in terms of distance. And the Martian responds, the white Martian has decided on tragedy. I can make it no clearer. I can't. Explain the criminal justice system to a sunflower seed. Make a paramecium understand property. Lay out prisons to a pebble. Understand? You can't. And it goes on, the white Martian is a cosmic predator creator, ironist destroyer, 100,000 life worlds lost, white's great purpose, deliver delight. You should talk to Bridget, spend time with Tyler, breathe deep your life, John Jones, while you can. The white Martian decided on tragedy. So John sits at the couch with his wife. Of course, the Martian is in the middle, laying down, just soaking up, chillaxing. And he reads his wife's mind. And big important thing is that we've seen in the first issue and the second issue, they don't really talk. They don't really communicate. Their marriage is falling apart, essentially. And what she says is, our old friends don't talk to us. I feel like I barely know John. He took this transfer without asking, moved us here without asking. He doesn't talk to me. If I leave, can I stay with my mother? What kind of relationship will our son Tyler have with his father? Does he even care? We don't know anything about John Jones' past, essentially, mostly that he is a workaholic, but he doesn't like talking. But he opens the window to let some air out, and he tries talking to his wife, but he decides that he can't. So he says, I'm going to go check on Tyler. And he sees Tyler, and of course the Martian is there messing with some Play-Doh. And then John's phone goes off, and the Martian says, hey, you should actually take that. That's very important. So he takes it, runs outside, and then he looks up and sees all of the gray smoke. And it's in the shape of what the white Martian looked like at the end of issue 2 a second ago. Police sirens, fires everywhere. The Martian says, bad idea number 1937-231, the emancipation of the immolated. What we saw earlier with Big Al. So continue on to the next day. John talks about, they call Middleton the city of second chances, and it can be. But he sees the destruction of the town, the fire, this little truck stand is handing out free sandwiches to everybody, and one of the ladies comes up and talks to John. John says, the woman in the stained nightgown is still in shock. Hard to imagine all she's lost. And we see her kids are actually in the flames. Even now, the love she feels for her children hits like a blast furnace. You could incinerate diamonds with it. Strangers were burning down strangers' homes. People were burning down their own homes. A gang of kids burned their beloved playground down. And we see that all of them have that white smoke around them. So John asks the Martian, how do you stop this? It's just random people setting random fires. And the Martian responds, there is no such thing as random, only misunderstood. Open your, our, my eye, John. See that inside is outside, is all the sides. See the implicate order of everything. Martian vision, the absolute perspective. Now, what do you see? I don't have the physical copy, so unfortunate. I'll do better. The production team doesn't give me very good leeway. They didn't give me any money for this. But John says, I see home. Not just mine, all of them. Every home that ever was or will be anywhere on this planet. That's what it wants. It wants to burn down everything. It's trying to burn down every home. Not any specific home or even all the homes, but the idea of home. The place you go inside yourselves. It wants to get rid of our idea of safety. What is safety? The Martian says, shelter. The Sunnyside Hotel, Middleton's largest homeless shelter. This is where Big Al didn't want to go because all the homeless people kept messing with him. This is where the next attack is. So John calls Milton PD. Hey, this is John Jones. Next target is at Sunnyside Hotel. Like, we got to get down there. And we see a group of multiple people infected by the White Martians show up. Pitchforks, Molotovs. They're gonna burn this place down with all the homeless people in there. But John goes on. They call this place the Sunnyside Hotel so that when their families have to leave their homes, they can tell the kids that they're going to the hotel because it's like a vacation resort instead of a desperate last place to go. Most of them are hiding from something. Poverty, persecution, abuse, addiction, responsibilities, disaster, despair. They've all got reasons and they're all different. But they're all basically desperate for the same thing. And we see them all being chased by something. Person's being chased by their dad. Person's being chased by drug addiction. Another person's being chased by who they left, their family. And then another person's being bullied by their parents about why they can't be normal. And what's cool about this is that they are in the colors of like what the Martian Manhunter puts out. These white Martians, I guess, are infecting them, but they jump through the window. So John Jones jumps through the window. The Martian goes through the window and grabs those things and destroys them. So only the Martian can touch these psychedelic looking things that are infecting everybody's mind. John Jones can see them, but he can't really do anything. At this point, we don't know that actually for sure. That's what I'm theorizing. Racing through mullioned light, we were just a minute or two away on foot. The Martian knows more paths direct than A to B, shortcuts through non-Euclidean space. So we see that he has the powers to teleport, and he puts his hand on the back of this lady, teleports outside. So John gets some kind of physical powers as well, which is very interesting that he has been given powers, because I assume that they're going to join all these people together for absolute like Justice League if they do that. They said that they won't do that for like another year, but this Justice League team will fucking dominate. But John says, we go through the Sunnyside room by room. The Martian is doing something to the oxygen atoms around my skin so the heat doesn't touch me. But the fire is more than fire. The smoke is more than smoke. There are things inside them that are refused to be extinguished. And we see it's just their traumas. All these people that are having alcohol abuse, people abuse. As the Martian wrestles with a tangle of anger and alcohol vapors, I suddenly smell burning flesh and icy calm. And this lady walks up covered in fire. I don't know who this is. My guess is, I don't think it's fire, like fire and ice fire. It could be Scorch. I don't think it's Scorch either. I don't know who it is, honestly, but I think it's a very important note that she is made of fire, which is Martian Manhunter's like normal weakness is fire. And they're in this building and nobody's talked about it. Nobody cares that he's in front of one of his main weaknesses in the main DC universe. But anyway, she goes on, I have a message for the green one. It knows you're here hiding. In meat, it knows you're looking. It welcomes you to watch. It loves an audience. And we understand that she's talking about the White Martians. She's kind of like a messenger for them. We see that his partner's like, Jones, where are you at? And we see a Burning Man flying through, crashes through the window. But she continues on. Most people don't get it. They think it's about the fire. It's not. It's about the smoke. And John goes outside and he's holding up the lady. You get it, don't you? Yeah, I can tell you get it. It's all in the smoke, John Jones. And that's the end of issue 3. Thank you for listening, watching, however you enjoy this media. This was a longer video, but I hope you enjoy. Subscribe, comment, like. I love reading all of them. If you have any good ones, bad ones, I don't care. I love reading them all. I'll take everything. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever. Peace out.